This morning, you've got time for a hot home-cooked breakfast. Delicious and piping hot in only 3 microwave minutes.
The overall population of San Francisco has been declining, while the homosexual population has been increasing.
Kiss the hottest girl. Or the hottest boy.
I see TV, guys in leather, chains, dresses, high heels. I say to myself, this isn't Ned.
Whereas I identify men by the first-class fighting.
My son is gay. I have lots of gay friends. I love the gays.
And yes, we're gonna turn you all straight because you're all gay kids, and that's a problem. Okay?
In 1961, the public information film Boys Beware was broadcast, warning teenage boys of the dangers of male homosexuals.
You see, Ralph was a homosexual, a person who demands an intimate relationship with members of their own sex.
The film was made based on the suggestion of the Californian State Police and positions gay men as paedophiles, grooming young men in order to sexually assault and murder them. This reflected the general myth surrounding the notion that you could catch homosexuality and that gay men seeked young, impressionable boys to turn, a notion commonly used to fearmonger amongst audiences. The common misaligning of homosexuality with paedophilia was continued into the 2 further remakes of this film in the 1970s, reflecting the notion that gay men were incapable of stable, loving, consensual relationships. The negative effect the media was having on the attitudes towards homosexuality was highlighted in the 1971 episode of All in the Family, Judging Books by its Cover. In this, Archie Bunker struggles to sympathise and understand the character who he calls Roger the Fairy. This episode aired 2 years after the 1969 Stonewall riots and the summer after the increase of peaceful gay rights activism. Whilst Roger only appeared in 1 single episode, Lear went one step further with his short-lived sitcom Hot L. Baltimore, which featured TV's first gay couple. Lear has since noted how he only wrote these stories for political purposes, with an idea to shock the government into becoming more welcoming of homosexuality. But this lack of emotional connection was how homosexuality was portrayed in those days. Almost 30 years before Proposition 8, people were fighting to introduce the simple idea of a homosexual on TV. The idea of representing the stable loving relationship one man could have with another man was unheard of.
1, 2, 3, 4.
The 1984 series Brothers featured the youngest brother Cliff calling off his engagement to a woman and facing up to his closeted homosexuality. Despite its covering of gay issues on a regular basis, it took 2 seasons for the show to air its first gay kiss, despite the airing of frequent kisses shared between the show's heterosexual couples, suggesting that whilst the network understood its audience to be able to accept the presence of a gay character, they didn't want to actually see them kiss. When the kiss did finally come, however, it was arguably the first kiss between 2 men to air on TV. But this kiss was not followed up until a 2000 episode of Will and Grace, in which Al asks when they will finally get to see a gay kiss on TV, and the response is a somewhat humorous smooch. The character's lack of knowledge of Cliff's kiss suggests Brothers' lack of popularity and the idea that homosexuality is still not being aired to the masses. However, the fact that Al's kiss was treated with such normality and little to no audience backlash seemed to open the closet doors for male homosexuality to have a more prominent place on TV. It suggested a shift in audience attitudes.
Oh, you're so filthy. And I'm gorgeous.
Later the same year, Dawson's Creek Jack and David engaged in what was said to be primetime's first passionate kiss between a gay couple. And later, the British show Queer as Folk crossed the waters with an American remake portraying a glamorised version of gay male promiscuity. Whilst it was critically acclaimed and ran for 5 seasons, Folk was still only reaching out to and popular amongst the young, gay and teenage community. This was reflected when in 2005, after the show's cancellation, figures showed that these audiences moved on to watch Dante's Cove, a queer TV show deemed porn with plot, with many suggesting that the audience had never been particularly invested in Folk's relationships between characters such as Justin and Brian, but had instead been more concerned with the entertainment and novelty of the frequent gay sex. In the case of HBO's Oz, viewers were not disgruntled either times Peter Schibetta was raped. As far as they were concerned, it was homosexual violence and natural occurrence within prison situations.
To stop being a fag, that's how. Stop? I can't stop. I don't wanna.
No. What caused more controversy was the romantic relationship brewing between inmates Beecher and Keller. What Oz did introduce, however, was the idea of male homosexuality within the black community. Up until recently, there has been next to no depictions of same-sex male relations within the black community. The feeling that it represents a weakness in a race that prides itself on its battle for equality, that encourages the idea of strength and masculine power black men had to earn that right, is reflected in the lack of representation. Oz's Adebisi and The Wire's Omar Little were two of the only gay characters to engage in sex with another black male character, and due to their villainous roles on the shows, to the audiences, they were already deemed as sinners, making the often distressing situations that homosexuality surrounded them with merely an extension of their sins. But this is all set to change, with openly gay showrunner Lee Daniels hoping to change the perceptions of homosexuality within the black community with his new show Empire. Daniels hopes the popularity of Jamal on the show, which has become a breakout hit, will prove homosexuality is nothing to fear, as the fight for equality comes from a much more personal level.
Hopefully it'll save a lot of young lives. There's a reason why there's a huge suicide rate in the LBGT community, you know? So it's important that we bring these issues to light, and what a better way than on art, using our art to be a voice.
I've heard a term out here in the streets here in Harlem, and it's called flipping a pancake.
The term that they use where it's like, gay men are not interested in other gay men. Gay men are interested in straight men that they turn gay.
No, this last time I'm gonna have this talk with you. Your sexuality, that's a choice, sir.
We expect more out of black men. You know, we are supposed to be seen in a position of power. And you consider homosexuality, you consider that more of a weaker or a softer, more delicate nature.
I get it. Because a sissy can't sell records to black community, I get it.
And you really need to stop calling yourself that.
Well, that's what I am, dog.
When you have the thought of man and man and having sex, what does that bring to you?
Dirt, nastiness, diseases.
To experience that journey with Jamal, and it's exciting. He's much more than simply his sexuality.
You know, because the way I think a lot of gay issues are handled, it's like, we've overcome and now we can get married and everything is all grand. No, it's not.
And they have this knob where they go, with 1 is they hate it, 0 they hate it, 10 they love it. And so they're at a 10 until the two men kiss. Then it's down to a 0. Didn't want to admit to their homophobia. It was like not admitting to being a racist, becoming a thing, because we are making it a thing. It is the civil rights. It is the civil rights of our time right now.
The reason why I'm bringing you here is to tell you that I'm gay.
I'm honored tonight to be able to use his music to explain to you all some of my truths.
Where you can get points across that are important for our community, our nation, our world, without preaching, without banging people over the head with your message, and just really lifting up that mirror so that people can see themselves. And they can make their own decision. You know what I'm saying?
As we move into a new era of TV, we can see a progression in the representation of male homosexuality, with mainstream reality shows such as So You Think You Can Dance, including same-sex relationship dances, and awards such as the VMAs recognising the importance of gay rights issues portrayed in televised music videos, such as Macklemore's Same Love and Posey's Take Me to Church. We can perhaps suggest that America is beginning to accept homosexuality as a regular part of society and life. Whilst one thought catalogue essay published by Marilyn Moore suggests that we aren't as accepting of gay sex on our screens as we initially thought, stating how gay sex is only legible to straight people in terms of the heterosexual matrix. During sex, if a guy's engaged as a top, well then that's preferable than if he is getting plowed by Ds all day long. The attitude is wholly cultural and deeply rooted in how we think about gender. Like men are supposed to be men, like men don't take dicks up the arse. This suggests that whilst we are beginning to recognise gay sex as the norm, it is because the idea of the norm within heterosexual sex is changing due to the vast increase in the number of straight couples admitting to engaging in anal sex. If we take the example of the fan favourite Connor Walsh from How to Get Away with Murder, as an audience we are invested in Connor Walsh's character, watching what he does, not his bed partners. By recognising as a top, Connor aligns himself with the heterosexual by clearly enjoying sex, anatomically in a way many modern straight men do. Therefore, he is not too far removed from what the 21st century straight audience considers to be a more common part of sexual intercourse. Whilst I agree that this is a recognisable and logical argument to make, I think this will be best argued as we look into the future.
It's not just for gays anymore.
So with an increase in the number of gay showrunners becoming more prevalent on TV, there is opportunity to further the representation of homosexuality as they give it a more personal touch. I believe this more personal element will give the representation for trueness that straight audiences are ultimately unable to ignore as being no different from their own heterosexual relationships.
We deserve much better than we've had.